Hey guys, so I am doing another psychology video. Sorry I'm filming in this area again. I'm organizing some clothes in my room and it's just a mess in there, and I have to reference my computer, so I have to sit next to my computer, so the background's a little off and I'm sorry. Before I get started, I wanted to mention one of my favorite Tumblrs and YouTube channels right now. I'm gonna list it down below. It is relevant to this. They're a psychology Tumblr and psychology YouTube channel. It's really amazing. I'll have a link to their, I think there's two Tumblrs. It's called Psych Facts and Psych Quotes. They post really insightful things and I love reading about them, and the YouTube videos on there are great. So I really recommend, if you're interested in psychology or just this kind of video in general, check them out down below. I'll have the links below. So today's video is going to be about letting go. And there's a lot of different variations of letting go. Mainly I'm going to focus on letting go of the current state of feeling, whatever you're feeling right now in the current state, if it's unproductive, and also letting go of the past. So this can apply to specific situations like letting go of a loved one, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you know, an old friend or something, letting go of those. Hopefully that'll apply when I go into like letting go of the past. I feel like a lot of people dwell on the past more than their present situation. I am going to start with the present situation because these tips will kind of apply to the letting go of the past situation as well. For letting go of the present, and what I mean by this is letting go of your emotions right now if they're harmful. There's no benefit to feeling negative or something, let's say, and just letting go. I'm going to start with a quote that I really like. It's by Sigmund Freud, of course. It says, "One day in retrospect, these years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful." And what you're feeling now may feel horrible. You may be feeling a lot of pain, but in the end, when you get older, you realize how beautiful these moments are because they helped shape you. And you should see yourself as a beautiful person, and so the pain shaped the beauty, if you will. I consulted with my mom a little bit on this video to get her advice and her insight. She's such a wise woman and I look up to her so much. She's always given me the best advice growing up. That's one of the reasons why I am the way I am today, is because of her, and why I want to do this with my career is because of her. And so I thought this was a good video to get her advice on. I'm also going to be getting her advice on depression. I am doing a depression video. I myself have gone through it. My mom's gone through it. So I'm gonna consult with her to come up with good tips and everything for the depression video, so look forward to that. Maybe a little bit of a negative one, but I haven't done a negative one in a while. So with her advice, she says, all experience is valuable. It is possible to be grateful for bad times. She also says it is the good times that are more preferable, but it's the bad times that shape us and help us grow. If we all just had good times all the time, we wouldn't grow to our full potential. You know, we go through these things to help build us, to help build our strength, our emotional strength. Granted, there are things that help you grow that are positive. Say if you travel a lot, that's not necessarily negative, so that'll also help you grow. But focusing on the negative things, it does help you grow. So if you're feeling bad in this current point in time, just remember a few years from now, you're gonna look back and actually be thankful that it happened to you. So it's hard to look at it like that now when you're experiencing it, say you're going through it right now. I know it's hard, and my mom says sometimes you have to let time go by to get perspective. Sometimes when you're in the middle of things happening, it's all too much for you to see what's actually happening and for you to get perspective on it. Sometimes you have to have time go by. And as she says, which this applies to depression, time goes on. You know, the day starts over every day, and you know, everything continues. You know, nothing is permanent. Everything changes. So even what you're feeling right now is gonna change. So the best way to look at it and let go is to see how it's changing you. So identify what this experience is teaching you, how it's helping you grow, what kind of changes are you making because of it. And like I said, it may be hard to do that right now if you're going through it, but given time, you'll be able to get perspective and appreciate that it's helping you grow. So Something else to think about is a period of dissatisfaction usually happens right before change. You either get so depressed, fed up, something where something changes, and that's usually you become really miserable before a huge change. I mean, I wasn't really miserable, but that's kind of what happened with me with ending my engagement to the person I was with for so long. Is I got to a point where I was just unhappy and I had to change. And that's something I self-initiated change. That's not always the case. Change comes regardless if you initiate it or not, or try to avoid it. Change is scary. And I think that's why a lot of people focus on the past, is because it's so familiar. It's a comforting place to be because it's something that's already happened. It's something that's solid. It's for sure. Whereas change in the future is so unknown. And that's what scares a lot of people. So not necessarily dwelling on the past as far as negative experiences in the past and feeling bad about them, but just living in the past. I know I'm guilty of this. I don't know if all of you will understand, but there's a period of my life when I was moving, and listening to the songs that I did then bring me back to that time. I have a perfume that I wore at that time. I was about 15, 16. And I always like to go back to that memory. I don't know why, so I still wear that perfume every once in a while. And I like to go back and relive those moments in my head. Now, that's not necessarily damaging, but it can be if it's not doing anything. If you're just, dwelling on the past because it's there and it's comforting, you have to let go of the past in order to accept change and newness. So always being in the past and not living in the present is hard for you to accept the current changes that you're going through. I also follow Rules of Happiness on Tumblr. They're a great Tumblr as well. I don't always agree with the rules. It depends, but most of them are pretty amazing and true rules to live by as far as happiness goes. One of my favorites that they posted was, let the little things go and remember that most things are little. With this, it came with a caption, and it said, think back 5 years ago to the day. Do you remember what you were doing on that day? What bothered you that day? What you were stressed about? Probably not. I know I can't. Even a year ago, think a year ago today. What were you doing? You don't know. Those little things don't matter now. They probably seemed so large at the time. So just think about it in perspective. The grand scheme of things is what we're looking at. So if you're holding on to emotions right now, they're probably going to be pretty insignificant given time. So try to accept that in the moment. Again, it's hard when it's in right now in the moment. But it's okay to step back and look at the situation and reevaluate it and say, is it really important in a year? Am I going to remember this day and why I was stressed? No, you probably won't, unless it's something really large, in which case you probably have a reason to be stressed or worried about it, which there are some things that are valid, but it's just easier to let those little things go because they don't mean anything. They just let them go. Also, be gentle with yourself. You're human. If something happens and you're holding on to it, just try and forgive yourself if it's something you did or if it's like an awkward encounter. I've had those before. Just be gentle with yourself. Don't beat yourself up for things that don't matter. It goes back to letting go of the little things. Yes, they can add up, but individually, they should just go away because they're not going to do anything for you. I wouldn't necessarily forget them. They can teach you something. Everything can teach you something. So try and learn from it, I guess. But, just be kind to yourself and don't beat yourself up for the little things. Now, with letting go of the past, it's a little bit more complex. You want to, I'll read a quote that I like. It says, it's by Mitch Albom. It says, in order to move on, you must understand why you felt what you did and why you no longer need to feel it. So look back at the situation that maybe you're holding on to, understand what those feelings, it's okay to address those feelings and feel them fully and accept them, but then realize you don't have to feel that way anymore. You don't have to hold on to it. The key is not to bring your past into your present. Your present is a brand new start. It's clean slate. So every day should be a clean slate, and you shouldn't bring all that negativity from your past into your present, because there's a quote, it says the pain from your past and the fear of your future should not affect your happiness of today. So you know, don't worry about tomorrow or yesterday. Just worry about today. Today is the day that you should live in, you know, because you're living it right now. Why bring that past with you? There's no point in it. You do have to evaluate some situations to grow from them, to learn from them. And that's what this quote's about, is to accept your experiences, understand them, understand what you need from it to help you grow, and then leave it alone. Put it away. It'll be there for you in the end if you need it. But otherwise, it should just be and stay in the past. The past is in the past for a reason. You don't need to drag it on and bring it out, you know, every 5 seconds and make you feel bad. My mom's good advice is what is should only apply to the future, not the past. And I kind of say present too. So what is right now and in the future, not what is in the past. That's there, and you can just forget about it for now and move on from it. I found some really good advice. It says there are only 3 options when dealing with a situation or the past. You can either remove yourself from it, change it, or accept it. And with these 3 things, it can bring happiness, but being bitter about something or, you know, upset about something doesn't. It's just unproductive. So if you're upset about something, either if you can't change it, if you can change it, then you know what you need to do. If you can't change it, then it's only beneficial to accept it and then move on and just let it go, because there's no point in holding on to something you can't change. That goes into one of my tips, is to focus on something that you can control. So if it's doing something, you know, putting effort into your hobbies, you control those things. And feeling like you have control over some aspect is comforting, even if it's something small, because feeling like you can't fix the past, I know, can be quite frustrating, because there's things that you would rather not have happened, but you can't change them. So focus on things that you can change or can control, and it just makes it so much easier. Some other things that are good to do is physical activity. I know that seems kind of generic, but honestly, our bodies are made for motion, and we really need it. And you know, that's what your muscles and bones and everything are developed for, is motion and activity and exercise. So you really need to get out there and exercise, or at least in your apartment, house, whatever, at least exercise. Exercise really does bring happiness. I can't stress that enough. And it's not until you have this full rush of endorphins do you really realize how great it feels. And I know sometimes exercise can be time consuming, frustrating, especially if you're not at the level that you want. Everyone has their own level, but that really reduces stress. It's such a great outlet to reduce stress. And I know it seems kind of odd, but honestly it helps. And as long as you have that mindset that this is going to help me relieve stress, it will. And it's a great, I mean, we all need to exercise. It's what our bodies are for. So it's really important that you do that. So another outlet is to write it down. Write your feelings down. I do this all the time. I tend to do it after either I've exercised or meditated or both, because I'm in a positive mindset and I like to look back and read my journals as something as positive, but they're not always like that. I have my bad days too, and it's important to write down your feelings. If there's nobody else to talk to, sometimes talking to somebody helps. Sometimes just that you feel like they don't understand, then turn to a journal. I write mine in like Microsoft Word. I don't have like a book to write my feelings down, but it helps me so much to just write my thoughts, collect my thoughts. And then what I like to think about is, especially if it's something negative, you're banishing them from your brain onto the page. So once they're on the page, you can just picture them just leaving your head and they're no longer. And that's how you can let it go, is just leave it on the page and don't look back. And then one day you can reread it, I guess. But my journal's just horrid to read over in the past. It's just awful. I mean, some of it's kind of funny, but you know, you don't have to ever reference it again. Just leave it there and let it go out of your brain. So when it comes to other people, maybe in your past, letting go of anger you might feel against somebody, the thing to remember is that they're human. And I think once you realize that they're human, it's easier to accept the situation. Sometimes, this is what my mom says, it takes forgiving the other person for being human and imperfect to be at peace with yourself. So forgiving is honestly the best thing you can do in any situation. Forgive yourself, forgive other people. There is no point at all for holding on to anger. It hurts you more than it hurts them. And I read this amazing quote that said, you know, having a grudge or anger towards somebody is like you drinking poison and expecting them to die. Doesn't make sense. So it honestly does hurt you more. It's not really going to affect them. I know people say forgive and forget, or I'll forgive but I won't forget, and that's fine. However you perceive that, that's kind of up to you. I'm such a forgiving person, it's kind of bad, and I can get hurt easily because of it, but it's so important to forgive people and yourself for just being human. Nobody is perfect and nobody makes the best decisions all the time, so you have to let go of the negative decisions or bad decisions or just the negativity of other people in your past. You know, just let that go and let it be in the past. Forgive them, accept it, and forgive yourself, and then you can move on. I have a few more quotes to read you in case you're a quote type of person. I really like this one. It's by Wayne Dyer. It says, "With everything that has happened to you, you can either feel sorry for yourself or treat what has happened to you as a gift. Everything is either an opportunity to grow or an obstacle to keep you from growing. You get to choose." I think that's so relevant, that it is about perspective when you're going through something, is to view it, how is this going to help me in the end? How is this going to make me who I am? And it's important to accept it, but then also be able to let it go and not hold on to the negative connotations with it. Instead, accept the positive changes that you're making from it and move on. Here's one that's pretty similar. It's just a random one from Tumblr. It says, "In life we do things. Some we wish we had never done. Some we wish we could replay a million times in our heads. But they all make us who we are. And in the end, they shape every detail about us. If we were to reverse any of them, we wouldn't be the person we are. So just live, make mistakes, have wonderful memories, but never second guess who you are, where you have been, and most importantly, where it is you were going." Another favorite is by Amy Bartle. It says, "I've learned something in the length of time that I have been here. This is temporary. Everything changes, whether you want it to or not. What you feel now will eventually fade, and you will cease to remember it until you need the information that you learned from it to survive. Then it will be there for you." That one's one of my favorites because it's so relevant. You know, going through a situation, whether it be negative or positive, it's important to realize that it's not really important. You know, it'll go away, it'll pass, and then if you need the information from it, it's still in your brain. You don't have to forget. Letting go isn't about forgetting the things in your life. It's just about accepting them and realizing what they are for what they are and moving on from them and just leaving them in the past. Last one, I promise. This is like a poem. It says, "We cry over friends we will never have back, people we once loved, bridges that have been burnt, but there's a reason the past is in the past. You only have so much room in your life. Save it for people that deserve it. Chances are if someone's in the past, they deserve to stay there." So that's basically all the advice I have to share. I know this is kind of all over the place. It wasn't as like formulated and structured as I usually like it to be, but I hope some of this was helpful to some of you. It's really hard to give advice if I don't know specific situations, but generally it's so great to just let things go and you just feel so much lighter and more free and more happy. It's really important, and it's key to being happy is to let things go, the positive and the negative, to just let them be and don't stress about them because you can't change it. You know, so why worry about them? It's just unproductive and not necessary. So I hope you liked this video. Please feel free to leave requests for more psychology videos that you want me to do. These are my favorite videos now to film because I love psychology way more than fashion and beauty, so these are like the essence of me. So I really love doing these. Please leave requests for what topics you want me to cover next, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.